Today I'm going to show you how to replace the front driveshaft CV joint on this 2006 Hummer H3. Let's have a quick look at the replacement CV joint. Let's see, we got, what's this? Oh, that's the new boot strap. This seems to be a completely new assembly, complete with new boot. Even seems to be pre-greased. Raise the vehicle and then come on their passenger side, and that's where the drive shaft's located. There's the CV joint. As broken as ever. Start by removing this protective plate, 13mm. You have to remove these 4 11mm bolts on the transfer case side and 4 11mm bolts on the differential side. You're going to have to keep the drive shaft from turning. Best way to do that, you can either have someone sit in the vehicle and stand on the brakes, or you can just take a screwdriver and insert it behind the U-joint, and then just take that, rotate the shaft and butt it up against the oil pan. Don't worry, not going to break the oil pan. If you do, you probably should enter yourself into the world's strongest man competition. Plus I'm pretty sure the screwdriver would break before the oil pan did. Get rid of these 4 bolts. When you're ready to rotate the drive shaft to make it easier to access the other bolts, just do it 180, screwdriver back in. Now you can just pull the flange away from the transfer case. Watch out for any stuff that's going to come out of there. Water, oil, or whatnot. Just rest it on the transmission cross member. Now since you're rotating in the other direction for the axle side, swing the screwdriver and butt it up against this torsion bar. And now start removing the bearing cap bolts. These are 11mm. Bearing caps off, set them aside. Swing this over the other way. And then just pry the drive shaft away from the axle flange. Screwdriver or something. Just like that. And lower it down below the front cross member, and then just pull it out. Now let's remove the old CV joint. First order of business is to get rid of this rubber boot, so you're gonna have to get this metal strap off. You can just cut this, doesn't matter if you destroy it. So I just take a chisel or something, screwdriver. Do a little something like that. Pry it off. Get rid of it. Now you just take a razor or scissors or something and cut the old boot out to gain access. And then slice the boot down the length of it and get rid of it. Just like that. Goodbye. Now the axle is held in with this circlip or snap ring, whatever you want to call it. Light in there so you can see. You can use a pair of snap ring pliers, or you can just use a pair of regular pliers, and you just gotta split these apart from each other, just like that. Just hold them split apart like that, and just pull this joint off, and it's gone. I like to take some brake cleaner and just clean up the splines. These things usually have grit and grime on them from failed boots and whatnot. Take a shop rag and wipe them off, dry them off. Be sure to clean the nose of it too. Make sure your CV joint is like completely full of grease. It's got to have a lot of grease in there. If it doesn't have enough to your liking, fill it up. Some Lucas Sticky Red or Tacky Red or whatever they call it. Take a little bit of grease and rub it on the shaft splines. Just helps them slide in easier. And make sure you get some grease on this sealing surface here, where the boot sits, just so it'll slide on. Put some grease on the inside of the boot as well. Now all you have to do is take the new joint, get it on there, line up the splines, push it on there. Now you're going to have to push it firmly past the circlip. And you've got to make triple, quadruple sure that the circlip is engaged on the shaft, because they can feel like they're engaged, but they're not. And then you go and install it on the vehicle, and then you have a disaster. If you have to, making sure the gear is fully bottomed out to this backing plate, and just give it a couple good smacks with your palm. Now I take a light and something like a pick or screwdriver, lift up the boot, lift up on the boot carefully, and that way I can visually confirm that the circlip is in place. Alright, this one looks good. I'll take this replacement metal strap that the kit comes with. Slide through its little tab. I just pull them as tight as I can, and then go back the other way. And that creates a bend right there. Helps it lock it in place. Let's get around these tabs. And then just fold it over. And I can take these tabs and close them. I imagine you could just use a regular hose clamp for this, but these are lighter than hose clamps, and I imagine hose clamps might create a balance issue. Maybe. This is a balanced shaft, so I'm sure the lighter the better. And take some snips and cut the excess off. Cut it as straight as you can so it's not so much of a stabbing hazard. And then I just take the excess and fold it back over. Make sure everything's good and tight, and they're ready to put it back in. Some people wrap tape around the front U-joint to keep the caps from falling off while you're installing it. Just take the drive shaft, shove it back in. Transfer case flange side first. Line it up. Hand thread in a couple of bolts. Hold it in place. Clean up all the bolt threads with brake cleaner. Get some blue Loctite on there. Do this for all the drive shaft bolts. And take the axle side, insert it into the differential yoke. Just make sure these bearing caps are seated completely in these saddles. Take the bearing strap. Start the bolts. Run these down with your fingers, but don't tighten them until you've got the other two is set in place. Double check, make sure the bearing caps are square and they're in there correctly. Now it's time to torque these bolts down. So insert your screwdriver, jam it up like before, and take these down to 180 inch-pounds or 15 foot-pounds. Boom. I'll spin it around and get the other two bolts. Hit the other two bolts. Flip the drive shaft over and butt the screwdriver against the torsion bar. And then torque the transfer case flange bolts. Same thing, 180 foot-pounds. Torque these in a crisscross pattern. So torque the one, and then torque the one directly across in the diagonal direction. That one torqued. And go to the next one directly across. Once all of those are torqued, just go back over them. Since this is a one-piece flange assembly, you want to make sure it's flat. Take this protective shield, start the middle bolt, get that back up there. And then you're done. If this video helped you, please consider supporting the channel by hitting the like button and subscribing. Thanks for watching.